Good afternoon. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Okay, you'll notice that we have some stuff up here at the top of the table. I'd really appreciate if you just kind of keep your hands to yourself and not play with that until you get to that part of the lesson. Alright, today we're going to be talking about wind. I want you to take a second and think about wind. What does wind do for us?
Helps us fly kites.
Okay, helps us fly kites. So we'll put helps. So fly kites, what else does it do? Or what does it do to the earth? What does it do in general?
It moves dirt.
Okay, it can move dirt.
It can make energy.
Oh, it can make energy. What kind of energy is that?
Wind energy.
Okay, so wind energy. And how do we collect wind energy? Do you remember? So we have some of those around here. They're out in the middle of the fields and
Big mill.
they twirl.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, we've got the windmills, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything about the wind that is negative?
It can,
Is there anything about the wind that's harmful to people?
when it's really strong, it can tear down houses and stuff.
Okay, so it could damage houses.
It can hurt planes.
Okay, so like when you're flying in a plane, you mean it makes it move up and down, and if it's too windy, it might make you lose control. Okay. Planes, and we'll put control next to it. Anything else you can think of? We kind of talked a little bit about landscapes, and we're talking about the desert. What happens out in the desert with the wind?
Carries sand.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it carries sand.
The
What do they call those?
Sandstone.
Okay, sandstorms. And those can be pretty negative. Why?
It can damage the land.
What happens in a landstorm, or in a sandstorm, excuse me?
It changes the layout of the land.
Okay, how's that?
Instead of a mound being in one spot, it's now on the other side of the desert or something like that.
Okay, so it moves the land. It looks like you guys are pretty smart, so let's go ahead and keep exploring this. I like where you're headed. Okay, so we're going to start by each student's going to have a pan. Okay? And you each have some soil. This is pretend soil because I didn't want it to get too messy, and I know that it's bad if you inhale dirt. So if you want to, you can go ahead and sprinkle this into your pan.
All of it?
Yep, just dump it all in. Okay, and you can shake your pan around to make it spread out a little bit more evenly. It doesn't have to be perfectly level. That's okay if you get some specks on the table. We can clean that up afterwards. That looks really good. Alright. Now what I want you to do is you're going to lean over your pan, and we're going to see what wind can do to dirt. Okay? So your mouths are going to provide the wind, and you're going to move the dirt. Alright, so let's see if what you said is true. So just blow very gently and tell me what happens. What do you see?
It moves away from one area to another.
Okay, does it move all to the same direction?
No, it moves in all directions.
Okay. What about you? Did you find the same thing?
Mm-hmm. I did.
Alright, and it blows away from what direction?
From where you're blowing?
Yeah, it blows away from where the air source is going. Okay, so I would like you to go ahead and we're going to take a quick break and just scoot your pan off to the side for a second. And I'd like you on this piece of paper, here's some markers if you'd like, I'd like you to draw a quick picture of what you just saw. Like pretending that it's dirt. You can get creative, use different colors. You could even have sand. It doesn't have to be anything too fancy, just a nice sketch. So I can see what's happening. I like how you're both taking different approaches. It looks like Larissa is taking a very literal interpretation where she's trying to show exactly where each particle is moving. And it looks like Levi is doing more of like a more lifelike type thing where he's actually drawing the sand. It looks like it's moving away from a source of wind. Okay, do you want to look at each other's really fast just to see what your different ideas came up with? Nice. Okay, now what I want you to do is go ahead and bring your pan back to you, and I want you to level out the soil in it again, or the little paper pieces. Try to get them all spaced out a little bit better again. Okay, now this time I want you to huff and puff and blow really hard to see what happens to the soil. Really quickly, are there any predictions? What do you think might happen when you blow really hard?
It's gonna go everywhere.
It's gonna go everywhere?
Maybe fly out of the pan.
Okay. Alright, well let's see what happens. Okay, it looks like you're right. So what exactly does it look like in your pan?
It's naked or bare.
Okay, where is it bare? Is it bare all over? Did you blow all the pieces out?
No, just where the wind hit it.
Okay, just where the wind hit it. So if you look at the pan, it looks like it collected all the way around the outside of it, right? So what do you think that would look like if the wind were actually blowing on the dirt? What do you think that might be?
A hole.
Okay, it can make a hole. Or if it's not making a hole, well, I guess it could be making a hole, but what would be on the side of the hole?
Valleys?
Kind of like a mound. So yeah, so what do you think that wind might be able to create?
Valleys?
Valleys, and what else?
Canyons?
Canyons and mountains and hills, exactly. So exactly, that's what you were saying. It says it shapes the earth. Okay, so we're going to do one more experiment. We're going to even go a little bit further than this. Okay? So go ahead and take what you still have in your pan and shake it so it's a little bit more level. Okay? Shake what you have so it's a little more level. Excellent. Okay? Now what I want you to do is we're going to add another dynamic. So this is where we're playing with just loose soil that's randomly on the ground. Now I want you to take some heavy objects. I want you to place them in your pan. So I have some rocks here for you to help us demonstrate, to see if anything happens when we put something on top of the soil. Looks like Levi's got the big honker rocks and Larissa's got the little dainty ones. Okay? Now we're going to repeat that same experiment. So I'm going to have you guys blow in here, but before we do, I want you to make another prediction. What do you think might happen now that we have rocks on top of the soil?
I think it will collect around the rocks.
Okay.
I think the dirt around the rocks will move, but yeah.
Okay, so you think just the stuff around the rocks is going to move? All right, well, let's see. Go ahead and blow. Okay, were your predictions correct?
Yes.
Okay, it looks like Clarissa's airflow is more direct from just one target. Levi got a little bit crazy with his. His wind was all over the place. Maybe he had a tornado whipping through there. Okay, so Larissa, if you look at yours, see that? Can you see that? It looks like there's a little more soil or dirt around the backside of these rocks. Why do you think that might be?
Because the rocks stop the wind.
Okay, exactly. So the way that rocks are on top of the soil, you kind of think of that like plants. So when farmers plant crops, it helps hold the soil into the place, okay? So when you have like grasses in the soil, it prevents the wind from blowing things, from blowing the soil away. So that was kind of what we were trying to talk about, and we'll explore this a little bit more. But really quickly, I would like you to write a quick little reflection of what you learned today. Okay? Actually, I'll give you line paper. So tell me a little something that you learned. That's okay. We'll clean this up in a minute. Just be a sentence or two. It could even be a picture if that's how you prefer to show what you learned.
Could we say what we learned?
Mm-hmm. Anything that you learned, or anything that you found interesting. Alright, so you finished sharing writing what you learned?
Yes.
Okay, why don't we go ahead and share what we learned so we can see if somebody maybe came up with a different idea than somebody else. So who wants to go first? Loris or Levi?
I guess I'll
Okay.
go first.
What did you learn today? Or what did you find interesting?
I learned that wind moves land, and that objects help the land stay where it's at.
Okay, that's very good. What else?
Mine was a lot like his, that wind is really powerful and it moves the land, creating the different landforms, like the valleys and mountains and hills.
Okay, and what do we call this? What is the wind doing? It's creating what? It's wearing away the earth.
Erosion.
Erosion. Exactly. What other things cause erosion?
Water.
Mm-hmm. Can you think of anything else? What about people?
Yeah.
People do too?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're on top of it because later this week we're going to go ahead and address those topics. So we're going to further explore erosion. So this is wind erosion for today. Thank you.